So we're here to launch the OGP Toolbox hackathon. We had our first sprint yesterday at the Élysée. So I'm glad to introduce you to Megan Smith, CTO of the United States, and Laure Lucchesi, Directrice of EtaLab from France, that will do the official opening of the hackathon.
Thanks. Yeah, just a few words. Actually, it's not entirely the launch of the hackathon because we already had a first day of contribution to the OGP Toolbox that Paula is going to present yesterday at the Palace of the Élysée, the Presidential Palace. So during one day, the community contributed to build some cooperations about how to really implement open government through digital solutions and projects. So people from 78 nationalities and 300 people contributed to that first day. So that was the first round of sprint. And today, this hackathon has been going on again. So people continue to work on projects. Some new projects are starting. So it's more kind of a mix of an update of the projects that were launched yesterday and also a check-in of new projects. So a selection has been made. But for us, bringing in also the tech community into the Open Government Partnership was very important. It's the first time that such a hackathon during 3 days is at the core of this summit, and it's because also it's at the core of our agenda because open government is OGP is kind of a platform, and it's about sharing experience, sharing resources, facilitating cooperations between countries, CSOs, local authorities, and a lot of solutions, resources have already been developed by all of you all around the world, and it's really worth facilitating the reuse of these resources and also building kind of a social network because reuse is also based on the experience and the use case. So for us, it was important also to facilitate the reuse of an open data platform, for instance, by another country, or sharing some open budget tools by another local government or another city. So that's the point of this networking session, this collaborative session. And this takes place through the hackathon, but it will keep going, of course, during the whole year. And hopefully the toolbox will continue to be to receive some new tools and to facilitate cooperations between citizens, governments, civil society. So we're very happy to have this, and I'm sure you have seen the space. There is a lot of energy. It's very vibrant, and we've been doing that, especially also with the US. So Megan, if you want to say also a few words, it's great collaborating with you and your teams, but with all of you here. So it's a great day.
Thank you. I just want to thank the French team, all of you, for hosting us at this amazing summit. And the energy is incredible, and we're making so much progress. I wanted to talk to everybody a little bit about just the subject of belonging. And why would I say that? So one of the things that we share between our countries and many of the folks in this room is that our leaders, the presidents, President Obama, your president, are together really paying attention to digital and to tech, and to using this to really better serve the citizens of our countries and citizens around the world. And so one of the things that is maybe new with the digital tech world is that the governments are really beginning to accelerate the use of this data science, open, digital, collaborative, data-driven government. And it really feels like the beginning of that for many of our countries. We have much to build. And what's so great is to be here in France, where, of course, the civil code of much of our democracy heritage comes to be writing code civil, civil code itself, and sharing that across so many countries, and to have, 78 country teammates working together already. One of the challenges is that a lot of our policy colleagues had not expected tech people to be with them in the room, and so they think of us as implementation, not architecture. They have us outside in the vendor land or below them, but not in the policy room. But we've been able to change that, and many of the people in this room have what we call TQ, like IQ and EQ, tech Q. And we want to bring tech Q skills into the policy-making room, both for service delivery and collaboration with our citizens and really getting two-way engagement, as well as in the policies itself, because that's what really the 21st century includes, computational thinking as much as critical thinking. And so I want everyone who's techie to feel welcome, and I want everyone who also has the challenge that we have a stereotype, that we think there's tech people and not tech people. We have strange stereotypes about who does this work. We have a terrible gender imbalance in the tech community, and we have racial imbalances and other things. And so we're working hard as a community in tech to include everyone. There's a movement around the world to teach coding to all of our children, and in fact, there's the Muskogee Creek tribe in Oklahoma, which is teaching robotics in what we have as Head Start with our 3-year-olds. So we really can have the will to include the creative capabilities for all of our children and all of our citizens with code boot camps and other things, and a hackathon, which is really a sprint, right? It's a really fun sprint together of different kinds of skills coming together with a great idea that you have is really what we're celebrating today. So not only can we collaborate and have conversation at OGP, but we've been able to innovate together to now have creation, fundamental creation of civil code together and new ideas. So thank you to your team, and thank you to everybody who showed up and has done so much work. I was with the group late last night, still at 10:30. Everybody was just finishing up, so looking forward to see what you're going to show us. Thank you.
Thank you. Just maybe one last word also is OGP is about making commitments and developing a vision and promoting an agenda. But I mean, it may have some changes and political forces like changing around the world, but really what we're sure that will remain is what we will have built concretely together. And those tools, especially when a community uses these tools and contributes to implement them and to improve them, it's really something that's gonna last. So that's why it's so important to us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So responding to that vision, what we tried to do is to develop this platform, the OGP Toolbox, that is kind of a catalog of all the tools that administration, civil society in the world use to improve democracy. So we have platforms for open data, platforms for consultations, platforms for open budget, all kinds of digital tools and platforms that you will be able to find through different categories that emerge through social tagging and with various examples and illustrations of use cases of how these tools are used in practice so that people that maybe don't have a tech background can understand really what they're used for and in which context. What you will be able to do also, so this database is crowdsourced. So everyone can add a tool, a use case, or a collection. A collection is a kind of a group of tools that we use and we want to recommend to other people. So it can be institutions or it can be people that say, okay, these are the tools that I use for open data. These are the tools that I use for organizing events, for example. So if you go to ogptoolbox.org right now, there's a collection about the French government telling the world which are the consultation tools they use. So we have 4 tools that have been selected through some criteria in terms of transparency, quality, and security that the French government recommends to the rest of the world. So these are the collections. Behind this catalog, it's not only a catalog, but we have innovative in terms of platforms. We have different sources. So we harvest different catalogs that already exist about civic tech, about tools. And at the same time, we have people contributing to this open database. So we had to find a way to moderate these two different sources, and we find a way through voting to be able to have an automatic moderation that won't cost a lot of time and won't consume a lot of energy to do it. So it will really be a communitary moderation. And the last thing that I wanted to say about this platform is that what we want to do is push different actors to go until the automatic deployment of tools. So the idea is that people also that don't have a technical background can, in one click, access these solutions. So without having to ask for a developer or to be able to deploy it by himself. So we've done that with our consultation tools in France, and we would be very glad to share our knowledge so that other actors and other tools can do the same. So yeah, just to tell you a bit about the background, this OGP Toolbox has been created over the last year through several sprints. So we've worked in France with Open Democracy Now. That's a movement for open source solutions in France. We've worked also with different ecosystems, with Nuit Debout, for instance. We were at the Civic Hall in September, where the United States government was very receptive also. We were at La Semaine de l'Innovation Publique. And also, last week, we were at the National Assembly. So we found a lot of different actors that contributed to this toolbox, thinking about what is the data that has to be there, what are the functionalities that we need, what is the user interface that is the best for the product, what is the design that we have to have. So it's really a constructed product that we're delivering today. And finally, so this hackathon that we have now is like a final sprint, a final contribution sprint, so that the OGP community can really deliver this product together as a deliverable of the summit. So we have at least 70 projects that are working on today. We have more than 500 people participating in the hackathon. And so we're selecting pitches that follow certain criteria. For instance, they have to be international collaborations. They have to be collaborations between civil society and government. They have to contribute to the toolbox in some way, be documented, and have a projection, like be a long-term project. So these are the projects that we want to showcase and that will have the opportunity to pitch tonight and also tomorrow at 5. And there's going to be one that will be selected for the closing of the summit at the Hôtel de Ville tomorrow at 6:30. So I'm going to let you hear some of the projects that are working on today. We'll have 8 pitches tonight, starting with Open Parliament in Portugal and France. So we have Manufactura Independiente that was working with Regard Citoyen, and they'll tell us what they've been up to.
Hi, good evening. My name is Anna. Just a question. This one? Okay. My name is Anna, and this is Ricardo. We are from Portugal. We started Transparência Hack Day Portugal in 2010, and it's an informal collective that works on open data. We host monthly meetings, and we have many projects trying to use public data to create tools for everyone. One of those projects is called Democrática. It's a parliamentary monitoring website that has information on Portuguese MPs and Portuguese parliamentary debates. And when we started this portal, our idea was to work on easy ways for citizens to access information. So we were very concerned with the design and facility of access to data. For a couple of years now, we've met Regarde Citoyen in a different conference of this kind, and we've been in touch, and we've been sharing our resources. So when they come to Portugal, we work with them, and now that we're here, we also try to do something together. When Benjamin was in Porto last time, he did a scraper for us for getting electoral data, and we used it to create a visualization. So now that we are here, we've been thinking about this idea of working together. They have a lot of projects, and one of them is called Nos Députés, and it's a wonderful resource that has a lot of information on the French Parliament, so information on MPs and the debates. And as you can see, this project was started 7 years ago, and you can see the age in the design. And what we decided to do, since we are designers, was to work on a redesign of the portal, and we started also working on smaller details like the logo. So this is what we did yesterday. It's a very, very initial sample, but we are working on making it mobile usable, so responsive design, and we will keep on doing this during the hackathon. So we're sharing our skills, and that's the idea.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so the next pitch is every politician from My Society UK.
Good evening. Okay, Every Politician is a project from My Society. Some of you may know us. We're a UK civic tech organization that have been running for about 12 years. We run a site in the UK called They Work For You, which is our parliamentary monitoring site, not unlike Nos Députés in France. I draw your attention to the effort I made to get the OGP map on my graphic there with our little bot. So Every Politician is so simple, it's beautiful, not unlike myself. It contains data about every legislature in the world, and if the data is just the names and the parties of the politicians, that is a start. So what we're doing, we've set up a bot that already has hundreds of sources scraping data from all over the online world, but if there are online sources as well, we'll add them. Every 24 hours, the bot is checking every source for differences. And then filtering them and publishing them as CSVs, because that is the most useful thing for non-technical people, but also JSON in the Popolo open standard that some of you know. There's a lot of Popolo stuff going on in the hackathon on this hackathon. And we also provide code libraries for the heavy core nerds. We've got libraries in Ruby and Python as well. So if you look at the Every Politician website, if we're lacking data for your country, please tell me about it. What I have been doing is annoying lots of you asking if the data is there. We want to be told sources. If you know where we can find this data or who to ask to get it, we'll do the work to scrape it and make it available. Whether or not you regard us as a source for your project, a filter that's just cleaning data that you want to use, or maybe you've already got this data, but we can add something. For example, we might be able to add gender. We are crowdsourcing gender data on every politician in the world, both now and historically. That data set doesn't exist down to that level, so we can add that to your data as well. If you think you don't need this because you've already got data, great. We want your data. We'll put it through the same filter and make it available to other people. But also, it's probably useful that you can augment the data that you're using with the data that we've got. And that is the summary, everypolitician.org. Please go and have a look, see what we've got. It is so simple that we think by making sure that the data is available consistently, people don't have to waste time digging out the data, particularly new PMOs can get going with the data. And we think we're assisting with tool reuse by making sure that the data is standard and consistent in the formats that we're providing it. Anything else you want to know, ask me. I'll be wearing the same clothes tomorrow to make it very easy for you to spot me. They're clean, they're just a different set of the same clothes. Or go to the website or get in touch with our bot that's busy scraping, but when it's not scraping, it does reply to tweets as well. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So next we'll have OpenSolarMap, Christian Quest.
Merci. Okay. OpenSolarMap is a project that started with a simple question on an OpenStreetMap forum. Do you have data about roof orientation? Because I want to optimize setting up solar panels. And it's something we can add in OpenStreetMap, but very few contributors put that information. So the problem was, okay, how can we get roof orientation? Why? To put solar panel, to optimize deployment of solar panel. And what kind of information do we have access to? And the very simple one is just have a look using aerial picture imagery. But okay, there's a lot of buildings. So what we did during a hackathon last year for the COP21, we had hackathon for the climate change challenge. We built a very simple interface to crowdsource roof orientation by just showing a roof and asking contributors to say, okay, it looks like this or that. In 3 weeks, we collected 100,000 contributions, and we have been able to classify 10,000 buildings. Here are a few examples. And we feed neural network to do automatic image recognition. And then we reuse that to check, okay, the errors of humans and machine. So we train the neural network with the human crowdsourcing information. And the result is this kind of map. This is buildings in France that are oriented with a roof facing south or south-north or east-west. As you see, we don't have the same color depending on the place where you are. It looks like we orient the building depending on the main winds. So this is very interesting information we collected. We also ask for flat roofs so that people can vegetalize the roof, put some vegetation on the roof. And it's another map of data that has been produced with that. All the code is open. It's on GitHub. You can have a look on OpenSolarMap.org. You can play. Be careful. It's a bit addicting. You may spend more time than what you thought. And all the roof orientation data is going back into OpenStreetMap data, so it's available for everyone. You can deploy your own instance. If you want to run that in your country, you can come and talk to me, no problem.
Thank you. Perfect timing. So next we have Consul, a new consultation tool for the French administration. So it's the idea to add Consul to this list of favorites consultation tools for France.
Hola, buenas tardes. ¿Tenemos slides? No tenemos slides, no pasa nada, improviso, más o menos me lo sé. En España hay casos de corrupción todos los días. Este tío ha robado 10 millones, este 100, este 2.000 millones. Y muchas leyes injustas. Tiran a la gente de sus casas, no nos dejan manifestarnos, no nos dejan hacer fotos a la policía. Hay un montón de temas muy injustos. Entonces, a raíz un poco del 15M, 4 años después, estamos en el gobierno la mitad de los que estábamos en las plazas en el 15M. Y en un mes, con metodologías ágiles, hemos lanzado una aplicación de participación ciudadana, donde están habiendo cosas maravillosas. Debates, tenemos miles de debates que están ocurriendo, propuestas, también hay unas 15.000 propuestas que ha presentado la gente, unos presupuestos participativos, nos hemos gastado 60 millones de euros en cosas que la gente ha propuesto y la gente ha votado. Y se ha distribuido ese dinero de forma muy inteligente. Legislación colaborativa. Estamos haciendo un módulo para que la gente pueda escribir sus propias leyes y llevarlas directamente al ayuntamiento. Un montón de cosas muy divertidas. Y en esta hackathon queremos mejorar todas esas funcionalidades que ya tenemos y que se están usando en un montón de ciudades de España, en Barcelona, en Valencia, en La Coruña, en Mallorca, en Buenos Aires y, suerte, en Francia también vamos a conseguirlo con la ayuda del amigo Tomás, que nos va a contar. Pues eso, si nos ayudáis con issues que tenemos en GitHub, genial. También con un tema que vamos a hacer entre París y Madrid, vamos a hacer una consulta de propuestas en común que tenemos los franceses y los españoles, y los gobiernos se van a comprometer a hacer lo que digamos nosotros. Y por último, un tema de lanzamiento de Cónsul que os va a contar Tomás muy rápido.
Gracias. Donc, vous avez vu ce soir que la Toolbox a été lancée. En fait, on va travailler, nous, sur un projet, une extension de cette Toolbox, une plateforme en fait, qui permettra à des administrations françaises de déployer des outils de consultation en quelques minutes. Donc Consul, en fait, là, le but du hackathon aujourd'hui, on va travailler pour intégrer Consul dans cette liste d'outils de consultation déployables par les administrations françaises. Voilà. Merci. Oui, et donc on a commencé hier aussi un travail avec un autre outil libre qui a été créé par le gouvernement américain, voilà, qui s'appelle Madison et qui sera déployable aussi au terme du hackathon, si tout va bien. Voilà.
Merci. So next we have LegislatorsWorldMap, a very international crowd today, coming from Mexico.
Thank you, Paula. Well, I just have 2 slides. And I have to be transparent and say that we just started this project. So actually, we had the idea based on a colleague's project and a project that I had been trying to push from my association in Mexico that is called Puebla Vigila. And we have done work on transparency, anti-corruption, and civic participation. So we wanted to enhance citizens we did a lot of advocacy for the political reform, which we were advocating for participatory democracy mechanisms to be included in the Constitution, which we didn't have. We didn't have referendum, we didn't have nonpartisan candidacies, etc. And so based on that project, or that advocacy project, we thought that it was important to have a network of citizens that, even though they would not be able to go as us to the Congress and to put papers up behind the legislators, that they would be able to at least tweet and make pressure from their houses or from their work to the legislators. So we couldn't actually. We did a list on Google Docs and on Excel, and we tried to build this network, and we didn't succeed. And right now, I'm working at OpenDataSoft, and so what we're trying to do with my colleague Peter is that we did a cartography of the US representatives by state, by district, and by political party. So what we're trying to do with this hackathon and the next hackathons from Open Democracy Now that have been happening in Paris for the past year is that we're going to try to build these databases for other countries so that maybe apps could be created based on the APIs that the platform can provide. And so the first part of the project is to crowdsource the data for the different countries, and then the second phase would be to, and I'm making here the publicity so that if any developer is interested to do it, an application so that the idea is that the citizen would be able to connect with their representative and make pressure through the app, so that the citizen doesn't have to go to a website and navigate and see how many times he has attended to sessions, or what has he or she voted, etc. So that's the idea. We're just starting it now, but we're hoping to continue throughout the next hackathons. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just this is a up. So that's a cartography, and you would be able to find your legislator. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so next we have open contracting data standards. Who is coming for that pitch? Perfect. So open contracting is a big part of the agenda of the collective actions for the summit. So we're hoping a big deliverable from you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Great. Hi, so I'm Duncan Dewhurst, and I'm part of the Open Contracting Data Standard Global Help Desk. So we are here hacking a variety of tools and data around the data standard. So first off, what is open contracting? Well, open contracting is all about increasing disclosure and participation in the public contracting process and bringing together government, civil society, and private sector and engaging them in that process. Why is that important? Well, government contracting globally is worth $9.5 trillion a year. That's equivalent to 15% of global GDP. Public contracting builds all of the schools, roads, hospitals that all citizens use every day, and it is also government's #1 corruption risk. So, what is the Open Contracting Data Standard? It's a global standard for transparency around the contracting process, and it's a really useful tool to facilitate collaboration between all of the different actors involved in government transparency in the contracting process. So what did we achieve yesterday? Well, we had participants from government agencies in Nigeria, Afghanistan, and Paraguay, and we also had civil society participants from Peru and private sector participants from the UK working on converting, in the case of Nigeria, converting data from existing spreadsheet-based monitoring systems and publishing OCDS data. We had participants from Afghanistan working on adding OCDS export functions to their contract monitoring platforms. We had participants from Paraguay working on making their visualization tools reusable so they can be used with OCDS data from any publisher. We had our participants from Peru working on building OCDS APIs onto contract data sets that were gathered through Freedom of Information requests. And we had participants from OpenOps working on deduplicating buyer information so that contracting data can be linked to spending data. So a really good example of getting all of those participants from government, civil society, and the private sector working together. We also launched the French translation of the Open Contracting Data Standard, so the whole data standard and all of its associated documentation is now available in English, French, and Spanish. And today we're hoping to continue working on all of those projects, doing more collaboration with more countries, generating more data, building more reusable tools, and sharing more learning between our participants. So we'd like to invite anybody with interest in public contracting, which is hopefully everybody, to come and work with us. We're working in a variety of different technologies. I'm not a programmer, so we invite anybody with a data scientist bent to join us as well and help us move forward on these projects. And we look forward to tomorrow sharing some deliverables with you and showing you what some of these reusable tools look like with the data from those different participants. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's amazing. So, translation is also a big part of this hackathon. So if anyone, the way to internationalize all these tools is also translate them first. So, okay. So now we have Democracy OS for a new consultation in Burkina Faso. Caroline.
Thank you, Paula. No, I have no slides. So Democracy OS is an online consultation platform to facilitate debate and the search of consensus around proposals. The goal of Democracy OS is really to make the citizen able to be to participate in collective and transparent decision-making process. And we participate in the building of the toolbox since the beginning. And we wanted today to share a nice story that is born in this context, because like 2 or 3 months ago, someone from Burkina Faso asked Paola on which platform was held the consultation around the OGP declaration. And he wanted to know if the platform was freely reusable and available to discuss the new constitution of Burkina Faso. So we started to talk, and yesterday we met, and now we are working together to see how to implement a Democracy US platform to discuss the constitution. So thank you.
Perfect, thank you. So that's the kind of reuses and collaborations we want to see. So next, we have the collaboration between Consul and Lutèce. I think Pierre Lévy, no show. Okay, so that's the end of the pitches. So thank you very much. We're going to go on this hackathon tonight until 1 in the morning, and tomorrow until 5, where we have the final restitutions. So the idea is really that you go to ogptoolbox.org and that you help us contribute to the open data database. So we need you to fill in your tools, fill in your use cases. All these stories need to appear in this social network so that we can really share this knowledge together and make it more consolidated. So we're counting on you to contribute to this toolbox. Thank you very much.